Hi, it's Nikidor. I wanted to have a quick video today. I've been kind of banging on Twitter about how it's really, we need to be very careful how we phrase things and how our field of experience can our limit and taint our readings when we're giving them. Now, there's all kind of readings, whether it's been astrology, whether it's psychic readings, mediumship, whether there's any other divination. Um, if you only believe, in a particular thing, then you can't actually believe anything outside of it. So let me think of. So I was talking particularly in, I guess, you'd go back a few decades. If you're reading, you would go purely boy meets girl. It was pretty much that's what was seen as the norm. So obviously it wasn't always boy meets girl, but that's you could do that and get away quite easily because that was what was seen as the norm. Um, Nowadays you need to be more open with especially gender. So you can't make assumptions about something or and a person. So if you're reading for someone, you can't make an assumption that there's a female wanting male. You can't make an assumption about a person wanting monogamy. If those are the only things that you believe in, you go, okay, well, I don't believe in polygamy, I don't believe that you should have casual relationships and stuff. You will configure that reading and you will give that reading within your field of experience. You'll taint it with that. Now, I'm not saying that we can always um, understand other people's types of relationships because they're not ours. However, we do need to read in a way that is open and read the interpretation, not what we've added onto it. So don't make an assumption that when a woman is sitting in front of you, that she's looking for a man. Or don't make the assumption, vice versa, don't make the assumption that they're looking for the specific type of commitment when they say, okay, especially in astrology, I think when it comes to commitment, where someone says, okay, I want I want a relationship, and you go, okay, well, this type of relationship would suit you, and you look up the commitment. You can't just go, okay, well, you can't go by your chart and what you require for commitment. You have to look at what they require for commitment. And everyone is individual. I also was banging on this week and last week about gender in the court cards for tarot. It is not good enough to say, well, knights and kings are men. For one, I come out as a king quite often. It's better to take that out. Now, whatever you use, I use masculine and feminine because I use that in my mediumship. Because masculine and feminine are, they're so rich in their meanings. You can talk about active, passive. You can talk about, depending on what side, left or right, as well comes up with that. You can talk about I'm trying to think now. I've kind of gone left and right. You can talk about past and future, or present. So you have all of these other connotations with masculine and feminine, and especially when I'm working in mediumship, it helps me understand. Even if I know they're coming on one side, I know that okay, well that's the mother's line versus the father's line. Now or I can tell actually this is past or this is present or this is because I can tell where where I feel in my energy and where they sit, and lots of things like that. So when I'm doing readings, I will try not to focus on male and female. I will look and describe it. So if I'm describing the Knight of Swords, and in most decks he's rushing forward, even his course is sprightly. It's a little bit kind of like, yes, I'm rushing in with a sword in arms. So you kind of describe that. Usually you say, oh, the swords are people, swords around intellect. So you kind of go with that, and then you can explain it, and then they can decide who that fits in their lives. Unless you get something intuitive and know it's male or female, it's best not to include that because that can start colouring it. But then sometimes you find that Spirit will go out of their way to tell you it was male. I was doing a reading a while ago, and I didn't know the orientation of the persons, and even if I do, I try and keep it outside of gender. So I kept seeing and I kept feeling a kind of male. So I kept trying to kind of go, okay, masculine, and then described it. And this wasn't a mediumship, it was more psychic, and it was through the cards. And then I was like, and then Spirit kept going, no, man, 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 man. So I was like, okay. They made it very abundantly clear. I have had it before where somebody will read a gender when I've been with people who have been reading, because you do that when you first start reading. You read with your friends and people you know all the time, and often they're other readers, and they will read specifically this type of person, and it turns out that person isn't the gender that they expected. A lot of these genders come out of roles that we've had in the past, that were assigned roles to people, and nowadays that's not as cut and dry. The world is a lot more open, as it should be, which is great. You don't have to, it's seen as, you can have multiple relationships. It's quite funny now when you have your people going, yeah, my boyfriend and my girlfriend and my sugar daddy, and it's like, oh, okay, and people are really open. It's really great to see. But if you only believe in that kind of strict monogamy, then how are you going to read for people who don't adhere to your strict idea? And it's really important that we as readers are giving the best readings, and if we are projecting onto a reading, it's not the best reading. So I will hopefully do a little bit more. This is more an impromptu. Hopefully, if you have any questions about that, feel free to comment. Because I think this is I was really surprised about the feeling that it brought up with lots of people. Lots of people go, no, the knights are definitely men, and this is definitely female, and these are and then it kind of goes in, and it kind of takes a little bit of a kind of homophobic turn. I found that in some of the tweets I'd had, and also I found it kind of weird from a ethnicity, because if you look at the cards, the sign, kind of descriptions of the cards, a lot of those cards do not describe me, and they don't describe a lot of ethnicities, so you have to naturally adapt that to fit the right ethnicities. If not, we're not really counted in many cards at all, and the dark hair doesn't, and with a slight tan doesn't kind of do it. So we've always had to, and ethnicity is another one, gender is another. It's just be aware of what you are adding to your readings. Be aware of what you are, what your judgments are. Be aware of your own field of experience that you could be tainting the reading with, because we are the vessel. We are the mage. We are the seer. We are the one giving the message, and it's our responsibility to make sure that we are giving it in the way that it's meant to be given, not in the way through any prejudice or any restrictions or limitations of our view. Anyway, I hope this has helped someone out there.